Hi everyone, Angus Campbell here, Thursday the 24th of October 2019. So, the bench is looking a bit of a mess actually, and that's because we've got various bits and pieces of preparation for the next fitting, and also new parts have been arriving. So let's try and describe where we are at the moment. So first things first, we've got to get the oil unions on before we can properly bolt the bottom end in the frame. So recently some new oil lines appeared, and this is now ready to fit with all three oil lines on it: feed the return, and the rocker feed. So that can go on. Next thing, as per the last video, we've rebuilt the oil pump and also the oil pressure release valve. That's ready to fit. The oil pump we can't fit yet because we have to install the non-return valve for the feed side when we're installing the pump. And the non-return valve consists of a 1/4 inch ball bearing with a spring. I haven't got the spring yet, that's on its way. And the way this works is that this ball bearing, under pressure from a spring, seats against the feed here, and when a certain low pressure is achieved, then this ball is released and lets the feed by. But when there's no pressure, then it seats on there and it prevents the oil draining down into the sump. Similarly, there is also a valve on the return side as well, and that's in the bottom of the pickup from the sump in the crankcase. So we do just need to check that. So we can't fit that just yet, but that I'm getting a new ball as well, but the ball and spring should be here in the next day or so. We mentioned the fact that the original sprocket had hooked teeth, so we've got a new 21 tooth sprocket there. These are readily available, so that can go on, although we're not focusing too much at the moment on the primary drive side. We can actually fit that, just push it onto its splines and make sure that nice clean surface there seats in the oil seal on the gearbox side. And what we can do then is we can then fit the chain to the rear drive, to the rear wheel, sorry, and that will then give us some purchase to enable us to tighten up the nut, which is here. That's the original nut, needs a bit of a clean, but the nut's there, and we've got a new tab washer, lock washer, with one of the many sets that I've purchased. There it is. So that will fit on the inside of the nut like so, and once the nut's tightened down, we'll just create a flat on one side, so that's easy enough to do. So we'll clean that up. It has been messed about with in the past, but the threads are good on it, so we'll use it. It's good enough, I think, to be safe. What else have we been doing? So the access cover to the sprocket from the primary drive, we've inserted a new oil seal in that, so that's ready to go. Push rods have arrived. I didn't have any, so they're ready to go. Also retaining circlips for cam followers. Cam followers have also arrived, but as you know, we're waiting. Actually, it's under here. We've got some work to do on the... Let's just get this off. On the barrels that are here. And we'll get these out now because... Oh, put these on the floor for now. Because I've been... Well, firstly, just to remind people, let's get this on the bench. Just give me a sec. Let's create a little bit of space so we don't damage too many things while we're on the bench here. Those are the 3 nuts to mount the oil pump out. So that goes with that, goes with that. That's the oil pressure relief valve. What else have we got here? Don't require those for the moment. Oh right, mustn't forget these. They're 2 small O-rings that act as oil seals for the oil pipe union, and they sit. Get my thumb out of the way. You can see the 2 grooves. There where those little seals fit, and the other hole is for the bolt, the securing bolt for that. And there is no gasket for that. It just relies upon those 2 small O-rings. And there they are. So we'll put those with that. Right, now I've got a bit of space there. Let's get these barrels up onto the bench, and they're bloody heavy. Right. So these are the original barrels. They need cleaning up, but they're in good condition. The bores, and there's no ridge and there's no scoring, and they're at standard. The problem is though that when the left hand rod let go, it took chunks out of the spigots, and this one is also cracked. And these later barrels, with that, it appears to be a part number, but it's not the correct part number as in the part book, so it might be just a casting number. 711033 denotes this as late barrels, and these, you can't get these barrels. New old stock barrels just don't exist anymore in standard. And a lot of the barrels that you come across on eBay, etc., are plus 40, plus 60 thou, and need reboring or relining. And you can get, I did find a company in the States that provides liners for these. And there is a specialist engineering company in Lincolnshire that I could go to get those liners fitted. However, doing a bit of investigation this week and ringing up quite a well-known supplier of BSA parts, and that's Sheffield British Motorcycles, run by Bantam John, whom I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. He hasn't got any new all stock barrels either, but he does have liners in stock, and he does provide a fitting service. So, although I thought we'd leave the barrels until last, I'm actually going to pop there tomorrow and drop these off, having spoken to him yesterday, and hopefully we'll get these turned around a lot quicker than I thought while we're finishing the bottom end on the motor. So as a result of that, actually the old Fury motor there waiting patiently might have to wait a little bit longer. So what we're going to do now is attempt to fit the oil union, and I should have fitted this before I put the bottom end into the frame because there's not a lot of room. We've got to fit it down there, and there's the securing bolt for it, and I can't quite get that bolt out, but what I can do is the bottom end here isn't tightened up yet, so I'm going to take this mounting bolt out, and also the bottom one down here, and we're just going to lever the engine up with a jack to pivot around that one there, and the front end will pop up and we can get that on. Everything else is accessible. That's where the oil pressure release valve sits, so we can actually mount that up too. So let's get set up here and we'll get cracking. Right, here we are again on the timing side, and what you can just see here is that I've got a trolley jack underneath this piece of wood here, just to put a bit of support on the bottom end, and because it's only loosely fitted, it has allowed the bottom end to be pushed up just enough whilst it's still in the frame with loose mounting bolts for me to get the bolt that holds the oil unions on, just to unscrew that. There's enough room here, so we can now fit the oil unions here. Now this isn't too straightforward because we've got oil lines to mess about with and to feed through. So I think I'm going to have to do this from the bottom side and feed the oil lines through the back here. From the back and the underside, which I'm now doing. Like so. Just so we can get that union boss the other side of the frame. I've already made sure the oil lines are clamped on properly with new clamps, so that's good. Just making sure the oil lines are feeding through properly. There we go. Kicking myself a bit really for not having done this before. Oh, I see what's up. The main one oil line's the wrong side of the frame at the back here, so we'll just have to pull it out a little bit. There we go. Twist it round properly, push that through like so. It's a little awkward. There we go. Got it. a bit tight, so I'm struggling a little here. Okay. Now it all becomes clear. Here we go. Here it comes. It was fouling on the gearbox drain plug. There we go. So now it's here. It's in full view. And what we can do, make sure it's all clean. I have cleaned out the oil lines. We've got new flexible tubes on, but the union lines are cleaned out. So now we can just let me show you here if I can. So here's the flat face of the union, and we need to seat the two O-rings in here. Bolt goes through there, and then we can push that across and bolt it up with the bolt in. There's enough room there should be. So I'm just going to use a little tiny bit of silicone sealer on the face, but also just on the edge of the O-ring seats, just so we can make sure the O-rings stay there. Obviously making sure we don't put too much on there and accidentally end up with a slight restriction or blockage. Right, that looks pretty good. Just a very thin smear. Right, next thing, put the two O-rings in. Sit them in there. Like so. Then we've got the special UNC bolt. No washer on this, it's just straight on. UNC as it's straight into alley. And now we then should just gently be able to push that across so we don't unseat the union O-rings. There we go, they're still there. Let's just check at the back here. That's interesting. I have in fact just pulled off a little gasket. There was a gasket there all the time. There's no gasket shown in the parts book. But anyway, it looks correct. I'm going to fit it. Again, just with a bit of a smear of silicone gasket. We'll put it back. Like so. Right, I'm just going to get the torch. Just keep checking that the O-rings are still there, which they are. We just need to push the union forward a bit. Like so. We've got something crossed over underneath here, which isn't helping. Yeah, we have. I've got something crossed here. That's the problem. There we go. We've got it. It's now lined up. Again, just make sure the O-ring's in there still. Which it is. And then we can push the union up onto its mating face and begin to screw the bolt in. And there she goes. Yeah. Okay, the bolt's caused its thread. So we'll just grab the spanner. I think it's going to be 1/2 or 9/16. proving a little difficult. Another job that requires a bit of patience, but then this is self-inflicted, because I should have put this on beforehand. Right, 1/2 inch. Okay, that's nice and tight. I'll just sit the oil lines for now in a position where they're out of the way. Okay. One job done. Next job, fit the oil pressure relief valve, which just goes into this big hole here. So again, just a bit of a smear of silicone sealer around the fibre washer. I believe that's 1 inch spanner. And there we are. And that oil pressure relief valve is very important for this motor because it is unique to the A70, and I presume that's with respect to the spring and spring tension. Okay, that's good. So 2 awkward jobs done. Might have been a bit easier, as I say, if we'd have done that before the motor was fitted. But anyway, not too bad. And what we've got now that we can fit as well is a new centre bolt. Now I would imagine that we'll need to do a bit of jiggly pokery on this. Just to lower the engine a little, which I've done, but it's still not quite lined up. Let's see where we are with the torch. Okay. still a little high. Just lower it a touch more on the trolley jack. Just about there. Maybe a touch more. Okay, she's on her way. Probably a little bit of a persuasion. I seem to remember this was quite tight coming out, actually. Right, I'm not going to force that anymore actually, just yet. You just need to I think we'll have to leave that for now, because we'll need to have a look at that from the other side. So anyway, no rush. We might just have to do the usual and try and screw that in. Let's get the socket on it now actually while we're here. $9.16. Yeah, I'm not going to force that anymore actually, without looking at it from the other side. And as I can't get to the other side at the moment because the bike's up against the Rocket 3 on the other side, then I'm not going to use brute force and get lump hammers out on that. So we'll leave that until the next time. But anyway, we've now got these two jobs done, the awkward one and the easier one. And tomorrow or Saturday, I'm hoping that the non-return valve will arrive for the feed side on the oil pump, so we can put the oil pump on this side. But if that doesn't arrive, we can turn our attentions to the primary drive, get the rear sprocket on, etc. Its covers on both sides, and then we can crack on with the primary drive side as well. So plenty to do, and nothing really holding us up on getting some of these jobs done. So we'll leave it there for now. That wasn't as straightforward, and as I say, could have avoided that really if I'd have thought about it before we put the bottom end in, but now it's done. Thanks very much for watching, everybody, for now. See you again soon. Thanks for all your interest and any comments and subscriptions, and see you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Yep, I'm back. Couldn't leave it really. Had another think about it and then thought, hang on a minute. We've got the jack and everything here. Let's jack the motor back up with a bit of emphasis on the far side, and then we managed to screw it in to get started, and then a few taps with a rubber mallet and it was through. So, quick clean up, and that's another job done too. And we'll definitely leave it there. Thanks very much, everybody. See you again soon. Bye bye.